Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. And today I have Eric back on from Indigo Protocol to give us an update on how things are going. They are getting close to having the final product, so it's great to have Eric back. Thanks very much for your time, Eric. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, pleasure. Happy to be here. I think we had an interview a few months ago, so a lot of updates since then. Happy to be here again with you, Paul, and tell the community what we've been up to.
Yeah, I think I was looking back just before this. It was March. I think you were on last. So there's been a lot going on. I've been following you guys on social media. So for anyone who hasn't heard of Indigo, I will put a link to our first video below. That was, I think, a good introduction to what it is and what you guys are doing. But can you give the elevator pitch in short what Indigo actually is? And we'll get into different parts throughout the call anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So Indigo is a synthetic asset protocol. Really, what we're aiming to do is equalize, what we see as an unfair financial playing field. And how we do that is by giving users exposure to real world or digital assets that otherwise might be difficult for them to have exposure to. But we do that with our iAsset suite. So those are synthetic assets. We often use an example of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not native to Cardano, as we all know, but with iBTC, our iAsset synthetic of Bitcoin, you now have exposure to Bitcoin and can therefore participate in the price action of Bitcoin by owning the synthetic, which is a Cardano native token.
So where are you guys now? What's happened since we had on? You were still in the middle of building when I had you on last. So where does Indigo stand now?
Since we last spoke, we've hit the feature complete milestone. That was a huge milestone for us. Just a year and a half or so of development, hard work under our belt so far. So to get to feature complete at the end of July was a huge milestone for us that allowed us to really move into more of a code polishing and optimization phase before we get into our final full-scale audit later in September.
Feature complete, that means version 1, everything's finalized now and ready for audit, or what stage is that at?
Yeah, so it means that all of our smart contracts are feature complete, but what we're doing now is optimizing those scripts to ensure that all of our benchmarks are good, and then furthermore polishing, just to make sure it's cleaner code. If there's any code bloat, if you will, we can trim the fat a little bit. So that's where we're at currently in phase with our devs. That's pretty much an everyday focus from a development standpoint. We will get into our pre-audit in mid-September. That'll be a multi-week phase before we kick over to Tweak for a follow-up audit. So by the time we actually push V1, we will have gone through 2 full-scale audits and a pre-audit. So the idea is to really leave no stone unturned from a security standpoint to ensure the integrity of the code. Definitely, all this hard work that you put in, the time and investment in developing, just doesn't make any sense to me whenever there's corners cut, and it puts the protocol at jeopardy, the users' funds at jeopardy, and so with Indigo, we definitely dot our I's and cross our T's whenever it comes to that.
Yeah, we've seen so many times now that security is so important for protocols, and when protocols do skip, or even sometimes they don't skip, they think they have all bases covered and something can happen. So anytime someone says they're taking a bit longer for security, it's something, obviously we want to see things quicker to market, but I have no problem with anyone ever taking extra time for the security side. So some of the...
Completely agree there. It's just worthwhile effort and time spent towards such a key component of the protocol is its security. And so yeah, that's an area where we see a lot of focus right now.
Yeah, I suppose that brings us on to something else I wanted to talk about was stablecoins as iAssets. With what happened with the Nomad bridge, that was an effect on people on Cardano. It wasn't a hack directly on Cardano, but because we had wrapped stablecoins on Cardano that were through the Nomad bridge, it meant that people still had their wrapped token, but there was nothing behind it to back it because of what happened with the Nomad hack. The smart contract was drained of all funds. So with stablecoins on Indigo as iAssets, how does that actually work?
Right. Well, first and foremost, they're fully collateralized. So being that they are Cardano native tokens, the users that mint, say, iUSDC, it's a fully collateralized asset. It is not a wrapped or abridged asset, so therefore mitigating the risk that you would have if you were exposed to wrapped assets. So the key differentiator there is that any asset within Indigo, whether it's an iAsset or a future version asset that we offer, they're all going to be Cardano native assets.
Okay, so just for anyone who doesn't understand the terminology, it basically means that the value of the USDC sits in your smart contract. It sits in whatever the collateral used. So say it was ADA or something else used to collateralize minting that iAsset. So it's actually just so people can follow along if they haven't seen our first call or what you guys have done before. How do people actually mint or get an iAsset?
Yeah.
Just kind of on a high level.
Sure. Yeah, great question. So first and foremost, that process happens at the protocol. So within Indigo, you would put up a form of collateral. We have different minimum collateral ratios for different assets. We kind of go through rigorous modeling with our quants to determine the safe MCR for each different asset. So each different asset, whether it's IBTC, iETH, iUSDC, has a different minimum collateral ratio. The user then puts up that form of collateral. So in this case, ADA will be supported at launch to mint the iAsset. From there, there's several different options that the user has or the owner of the iAsset has, whether they want to yield farm in Indigo or provide liquidity on DEXs. That's their decision, and we incentivize different ones with different yield mechanisms with the protocol. But yeah, that's pretty much the simplest way to obtain an iAsset is to open up a collateralized debt position with a form of ADA as your collateral at V1.
Yeah, I suppose something I was thinking just coming up to this as well is because you guys don't charge interest on minting. So if I mint an iAsset, the only thing I have to do is put up collateral to basically back that asset, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Now, the owner of the CDP then, who has minted the iAsset, it's their responsibility to manage their MCR to make sure that it is not at risk of liquidation. But the idea is really by owning and holding the iAsset, it will allow them different yield opportunities, whether it's a stability pool within Indigo or liquidity, being a liquidity provider on DEXs. So.
Okay, yeah. So I suppose what I was thinking of is if we can hopefully get back into more bullish times, markets are a bit better. If you take things like stable coins, you can mint them with your ADA as collateral. So then you have the stable coin plus your ADA is safe in the smart contract, and you can use that to generate yield in other ways. So there will be lots of different methods there, probably things I'll cover in different videos as the protocol is live and as we can actually do stuff with it. I'll try and do some tests with different methods there. But it will be good to have that option of stable coins because right now we don't have. Another thing just to mention, I've seen USDC have been freezing accounts over the last while. So that's something that people don't understand when you have a native asset on Cardano. And maybe a reason we mightn't see native USDC on Cardano is you don't have that feature, or I don't know if it's really a feature, but when they're created through smart contracts on something like Ethereum, just for people who don't know it, they're created using a smart contract. So it means that the owner of that has control to actually freeze the accounts that hold the stablecoin at any stage, where with something like the iAssets, they're created on Cardano. Nobody can actually control them assets because they're created essentially like first-class citizens on the Cardano blockchain. They're not created through smart contracts. So it's another advantage of the iAssets, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it.
So what type of features will we see in version 1? I suppose we've hit on a few of them, but just the main features we'll see for version 1.
Yeah. So part of the development process and the time we've taken has also obviously been related to the state of Cardano and what's capable with the smart contract capability on the layer 1. However, we've also decided to have a fully featured V1 as opposed to say like an MVP. So with version 1, we'll have all iAssets available. There's the several that we'll launch with, but immediately at launch, we expect the Indigo DAO to be proposing new iAssets to be whitelisted. All of that happens through the DAO as a DAO governed decision. And part of that, talking about governance, is a fully decentralized governance. It's a hand-rolled governance. We have customized pretty well with regards to what we need, and kind of tailor-made governance package for Indigo specifically. We're pretty excited about some of the features we've built into governance, but so a fully featured protocol with all stability pool functions, LP token staking, and governance participation will be available at V1. We have already begun ideating and kind of looking ahead to what V2 looks like, with new asset suites, novel assets, novel stable coins. We'll go ahead and present that to the Indigo DAO. Indigo Labs will, as a proposal to the Indigo DAO, just as any other proposal should be submitted. And from there, it's the Indigo DAO's decision to review that proposal and approve really what we're presenting as a V2 upgrade. So the protocol has upgradability capabilities also.
Okay, nice. So I suppose you put version 1 out there, you propose some solution or some maybe advancements or additions that can be added. The community can also add them, but the DAO will be in control of the direction of Indigo going forward. It won't be you guys deciding what iAssets get added or what doesn't get added or anything like that. It's completely in control of the community to decide what happens with the protocol.
Yep, 100% decentralized governance. So there's a process that our marketing team would be giving more information on next week, actually, with another infographic. We try to keep that infographic cadence every couple of weeks to just keep educational material flowing out to the community. But specifically with governance, there is a process that we'll have with an off-chain element and a temperature check. But our DAO moderators, who are community members that have assumed the role of a moderator and understand the responsibilities of a moderator, they will then be in charge of ensuring that each proposal complies with the rules set forth in the Indigo DAO constitution. So really, we have a good process, and ultimately, though, it is decentralized governance. So the core team, Indigo Labs, we have no authority or control over the governance process. So yeah, it's really important to understand that it's really the community's protocol at that point after launch. We still want to obviously have, a vocal say in how governance is treated. We feel like we have the community's trust and backing so far in how we've developed and what we refer to as the Indigo way, and being transparent and open. So we would assume that upgraded versions of the protocol, whether a 1.5 or a 2, accompanied with the proper information and white paper in the proposal, that we would have that community backing and eventually see an approved and passed proposal to upgrade the protocol. But ultimately, we have no authority to do so without the governance process approving it.
Nice. Yeah. And actually, again, for anyone who hasn't seen you before, you are self-funded. You had some Catalyst proposals in there, but what you got from them wouldn't go very far to fund a project of this size.
No. We really respect Catalyst, and we have so far 4 proposals that we've submitted to Catalyst, and we really wanted to be an example with Catalyst and show that yes, it's there. It's really, really valuable for startups trying to get off the ground with their concepts, to seek community feedback on their proposals as sort of a temp check process on their own proposals and their business ideas. So it's invaluable for that. But also, there's room for it to be abused. And we really are proud of the fact that we are kind of leading the charge right now in completed Catalyst proposals. So of the 4 proposals that we've submitted, all 4 have been approved and are funded. However, we've also finalized and concluded 2 of the 4. I believe that's we're an exclusive company in that regard to actually have completed the proposals, finalized the process with the Catalyst team, and actually 3 of the 4 proposals will be completed by the time we launch, because one of which is the multi-DEX DEX aggregator feature that will be within Indigo V1. We need that feature so as to launch. So we'll actually have 3 of 4 proposals, funded projects, completed and closed out. So Catalyst is really great. Yeah, to your point, Paul, it's the minimal funds that we've asked for are not at all what it's taken to build Indigo, but we chose the fair launch path and the self bootstrapped path for various reasons, and we're blessed to be able to do that. But absolutely, Catalyst is a very valuable tool for a lot of people out there, including us.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't check, but have you any Catalyst funds in for this voting round?
No, I believe if we re-enter Catalyst, it'd probably be in Fund 10 for a follow-up audit, and to have that looked at and potentially approved by the Catalyst community. We have a good track record with Catalyst, as I just explained, so I feel like that would be an eventually approved proposal. So we'll consider it if the time comes for Fund 10, but Fund 9, we do not have any active proposals.
Okay, yeah, I would say you're definitely entitled to put in a proposal for what you've done and open source parts of it as well. So whenever that does go in, I'll be sure to share it out as well. You touched on the DEX aggregator there, something that I'm interested in. Could you explain what that is or what that feature will be?
Yeah, ultimately what we want in the multi-DEX feature is when users of the protocol have an iAsset, they want to be able to select the DEX that they would want to go provide liquidity on. So we're integrating natively with MinSwap, SundaySwap, and any other native DEX out there that would be beneficial for our users to have quick access to, so that they can go provide liquidity on those DEXs if they don't want to be a stability pool staker in the protocol. So really, it's just to ensure that we have as robust of an Indigo user experience as possible. Indigo is not a DEX. We're an iAsset factory, a synthetic asset factory. So we need partnerships and integrations with the DEXs for the users that want an easy hop over to the DEX to provide liquidity there.
Okay, and they can do that fully through the Indigo platform as well. They don't have to be swapping over to the individual DEXs.
The Indigo web app will navigate them to the DEX. So we'll have the integration done there, but as soon as they're going to the DEX, they're on the DEX platform. We're just offering an easy means of travel to the DEX, if you will.
Okay, perfect. Vasil then, so hopefully we're going to get that release. I seen there was actually a new node version come out about an hour ago. So hopefully that will become the final node version for the hard fork, and we can start the countdown for everyone switching over. But what has been your experience as a team developing? I'm sure there's been frustrations at times, but the actual feature wise,
it's software development. Things are going to be you got to expect the unexpected. That includes delays. But back to what we were talking about earlier, security and integrity of code needs to, there's going to be delays at times. So that's understood. And we acclimate well to that because it's an expectation. But with Vasil specifically, we've seen a great deal of benefit with both reference inputs and reference scripts, SIPs 31 and 33. Specifically for us in all areas of transaction size limitations, everything that we've done in our recent benchmarks has improved so that our scripts are within size limits. So those have been just very valuable for us. And yeah, we're really looking forward to Vasil mainnet. Obviously that kind of gears up everybody to put all their hard work in motion and launch the dApps, including Indigo. Will be soon after. And yeah, so we're really excited about it.
Okay, great. And I suppose your own timeline will depend on Vasil, and also your audit as well will define your exact launch.
Yeah, I can give some insight into that. So as I mentioned earlier, our pre-audit will begin with M Labs in mid-September. That'll be a multi-week phase, but our audit with Tweeg, who's our audit partner, we've gone through an audit with them last fall, published a report on that. That's all public and information that users can go, or viewers can go find. That is scheduled to begin at the end of September. We expect probably a 4 to 5 week phase, potentially 6. So we have to conclude that process, put in any remedies to any vulnerabilities or things found. That's obviously a critical step. Once that's all done and concluded, then the mainnet happens shortly thereafter. So I'm probably thinking at this state, probably early November.
Okay, nice.
We reserve the right for that to be delayed because that's just where we're at. But ultimately, no one wants to get Indigo launch more than the team does. We've been putting a lot of hard work in. Now that we're feature complete, it's really just a matter of the schedule thereafter for getting us in queue with the auditors and making sure that we have good code to release.
Yeah, you still have a few moving parts there that need to all line up properly. So another common question I got when I put it out to the community was about the token drop when you guys were on in March. I think we talked about it then of how there would be an airdrop for people who completed certain stages. So the token drop, do you know when that's going to happen? And also another one was on the emissions. So I seen about changing from a 4-year to a 5-year plan for the emissions.
Yeah. So to answer both of those, the what we refer to as the initial token distribution, that includes the airdrop, that happens at launch. So immediately at launch, we mint the token and then we distribute it to the airdrop recipients as well as for our liquidity bootstrap event. And the emissions, that has not changed. That's still 2% of total supplier going through those means. It's the change of emissions from 4 years to 5 years. In our modeling, we looked at just the sustainability of the protocol and felt it valuable to extend out the emissions from a 4-year schedule to a 5-year schedule. So that is going to be fully disclosed further than this conversation whenever we release the V1 updated white paper, and that's coming very soon as well.
Okay, perfect. I think we've covered a lot of the other features. Another as well, you are one of the founding or the founding members of the Cardano DeFi Alliance.
Yep. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you just want to tell people what that actually is before we finish up, or what role they have?
Happy to. Yeah. So I am the founder and co-chair of the Cardano DeFi Alliance. This was an idea that came to mind last summer as we were running into our initial hurdles of development and hearing the same hurdles that everyone else was sharing. It kind of dawned on me that we need to have a league of companies or working groups to really kind of put the same kind of issues all on one table that we're all experiencing, power in numbers kind of concept. So I began reaching out to all of our colleagues in the space and kind of floating the idea of an alliance. It was well received. Obviously, the CDA is now 15 members with a lot of applicants on the table. So we're probably going to open enrollment again soon to get to the other eager members of the ecosystem that want to contribute to the CDA. But ultimately, our initiative is to really help create best standards and practices developing in this ecosystem and on Cardano. A lot of that's going to be initially focused around education. So we have constant communication with IO, the Cardano Foundation, Emergo. So we're working across the board in a lot of different collaborative manners with those entities, and we meet regularly. The CDA does bi-weekly, and we introduce different different contacts that can provide value to the CDA in a collective manner. So far has been really, really positive, just to get everybody together and ideating different concepts and development kind of workarounds to what we've been running into. So it was kind of birthed out of need, if you will, but so far it's just been really beneficial.
Yeah, I think it is a great group to have, and it was able to emphasize the need really for some of the main SIPs that we're getting in the current Facet hard fork, like reference inputs and stuff like that. Your group was a big force behind that, kind of highlighting why it was needed for DeFi, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we're continuing to ideate and author future SIPs. I know Indigo CTO has worked closely, Cody Butts. He's worked closely with the Oracle Charlie 3 team to author new Oracle SIPs and standards there for different datums. And so just a really collaborative effort across the board. And, it's important for the CDA to have members that are core DeFi protocols. We get a lot of interest from, would-be members who are just not necessarily the right fit from a DeFi perspective, but still are eager to contribute. So I encourage, alliance type of formations and other verticals of the DApp ecosystem, whether it's NFT marketplaces. I understand there's an SSI alliance now. Definitely a lot can be achieved when you put a lot of bright people together in one room and start discussing these things rather than trying to handle them in a siloed manner, team by team. So.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great group to have in the community. If you ever need help getting any of the educational stuff out, or if a group you ever wants to come on a call to put something out for the community, I'm very open to that at any stage as well.
Great. Yeah, that'd be great. We actually just had our inaugural Twitter space earlier this week. That'll be, I think, an every month cadence at this time, or every 2 weeks.
Okay.
But the follow-up Twitter space for the CDA is actually scheduled for September 6th. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We'll be releasing a poll soon to just kind of gauge community interest on discussion topics so that we can come to that follow-up conversation and really understand what it is the community wants us to dig in on from a discussion perspective. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. So we'll probably have our CDA PR folks send out some polls or something like that soon to just kind of gauge that interest of discussion topics.
Okay, and for anyone interested in that, the best place is Twitter, or is it to follow along for that?
Yep, absolutely.
I'll be putting the Indigo links down below. I'll also put a link to the Alliance Twitter page as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So anything we've missed here, we'll wrap it up soon enough, but anything we haven't covered, do you think is important? Or
no, I mean, I guess just the observation that good things, great things take a lot of time to build, to do it right. So I just want to commend the community for staying loyal with the whole ecosystem, with Cardano. We understand everybody's eager to see a robust and thriving DApp ecosystem, including DeFi. No one more so than the developers, of course. So, but we're really, really close. So everyone's kind of been really eager to see this stuff come to life, and we're right around the corner. So just want to give kudos to everybody for hanging in there and being loyal. It goes a long way to see that we still have so much community backing and faith in what we're doing.
Yeah, it's great. We've all waited so long now. It's just around the corner. So I was going to say another few weeks, but it's not going to be Vasil happens and then every project launches the day after. It will take time to make sure things like security, things like integrations, to make sure they're all right. But it will be good to see fully fledged DeFi going on Cardano over the next few months anyway.
Yeah, it will. And then to see how it comes into an even more mature state, in the next couple of years, it's just going to be really fascinating to watch. And I'm really excited for it because it's been a lot of hard work, but we're just scratching the surface of potential. And I really suspect we're going to see great innovations on Cardano whenever we get everything launched, and it's going to attract new, brilliant people that want to come and develop in our ecosystem. And I'm really excited to see what the next couple of years have in store.
Yeah, I think we'll see loads of different types of projects, DeFi and otherwise, building over the next few years, and they'll be able to build on top of the hard work that a lot of the projects like you guys have done, getting through what's going on now and building the foundations for your own projects and also the projects that are to come. And finally, you're going to Rarebloom, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be there. I'm excited to be there. Denver is kind of home away from home for me. So kind of backyard in a lot of ways. And so excited for that. Yeah, we'll be there exhibiting Indigo. Looking forward to seeing all of our colleagues and friends and actually putting some faces to names. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully I get to meet you in person. My plan is to be over there as well for Rarebloom. I think my first time in the States since I was 3 or 4. So it'd be nice to get over and meet so many people I talk to like that in calls or on Telegram. It'd be great to meet people in person. So
yeah, just FYI for you and anybody else who's traveling to Rarebloom, October weather in Denver is kind of schizo. So I would have some cool weather gear, and it could be 80 degrees on a day as well. So yeah, definitely travel accordingly. So
yeah, I'm coming from Ireland, so our weather is all over the place anyway. So
yeah, I hear you. Down here in Austin, it's just pure heat. So we've had a blazing hot summer like a lot of the world, but it's been particularly brutal this year so far. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen a lot of people at Consensus talking about how hot it was there.
Yeah, we've seen no reprieve. average high temp in July was 103.9, hottest on record for Austin. So yeah, pretty pressure cooking.
Yeah, that's warm. Right. So look, what I do, I appreciate your time, Eric. Thanks very much. If there's ever any time you want to come on to give updates or anything like that, or something you want me to put out, just let me know and I can share it out on socials or whatever. Best of luck with the audit and everything. I'll be watching closely, as will, I'd say, lots of people watching here. The links, anything we talked about, the Indigo links and where to follow them and everything, I will put all of them in the description down below as well. Thanks for watching. If you're new, subscribe, like, share it out to let others know what is being built on Cardano and where Indigo are as well. Thanks, Eric.
All right, Paul. Thanks, man. We'll see you.